Welcome back to Beginner's Watercolor. This is our second class and our second project. We're going to be layering watercolors today, and we're going to make a little landscape. It's kind of cute. You can frame it and put it up on the wall. What we're going to do today, like I said, is the layering. We did the mixing last week, which turned out really cool. And next week, we're going to put the mixing and the layering watercolor together to make another project. So I'm excited for that one. Today, what we're going to do with the layering is you're going to be using a thick brush, a wide brush. I'm just using this angled brush. And we're going to make sure that our paper is really, really wet. And if you notice, I've got spots here from other colors. I'm just going to rub those in. It doesn't really make much of a difference when we get going. And you'll also notice that I have taped my paper down with painter's tape just to keep it from, because we're going to be using so much water, just to keep it from curving and bowing up and changing shape. So we get the water really on this paper, a lot of water. And then I'm going to be changing brushes. I'm going to just change it to a little angled brush here. And instead of black, you can use any color, but instead of black, I'm going to use green today. And I'm going to get in here and I'm going to make this really wet. Okay? And then we're going to start at the top and we're going to work our way down. We want to make sure that this is the lightest color. So just kind of wipe your brush off. Go across, back and forth to even out that color. If you notice you get little hairs and little brush tips, don't worry about that. They will come up when it's dry. And another thing you can do, if that feels too dark to you, is just use your paper or your cloth. Take some of that paint off. If you notice, I've got a lot of brush hair on this. There we go. Just take it off. No big deal. It'll come off really easy when it's dry. So next, what we're going to do is I use a blow dryer and we're going to dry this off. So close your ears. It might be loud. Okay, now this paper's dry. And what we're going to do, then you can, brush off any of the little hairs you might have on it. And if you remember last week, we talked about where the water is, that's where the paint goes. So you want to make sure that you don't have a lot of water when you want to make sure this is dry, so that when you go back in with a darker green or a darker color, it doesn't bleed up into the other color. So now back with the green, we're going to stick with the same green, and we want it to be a little darker. And this is kind of you really have to play with it. And we're just going to make a little, I don't know, a little mountain here, hill. Let's do a little hill. We can pull that down. And if that's too dark, go back in with some more water. Move that color down. because we want to layer these colors. We want to make sure there's some color down here also. Just brush in that color. And I want to make sure that I have a little bit of a line here that I can see. There we go. Bring that back down. Okay, so that's our second layer. Now this right up in here where I had the colors, I don't like, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to leave it there. And I may just add some yellow to it to make some brightness to it. I don't know, but for right now, I'm just going to leave it. And then I'm going to go back in with another hit of green. And change the shape of that mountain. Let's go steep and down and up. That second layer dried pretty quickly. I thought it dried better than it did. So there's a little bit of bleeding in there. So I'm going to go ahead and go in. There we go. I just went in and hit it with a little, get it a little bit dry, and then I'm going to go back in. Go back in and change that shape a little bit. See, it's a little darker than that previous color. And I like to have a little bit of mark there so that I can see the shapes a little bit better. And then just bring that color down. You can always go back in and add a little bit more water to make that shape a little less noticeable. But I really do like seeing that little dark line there. Okay, now then, let's dry that off again. Okay, for sure you want that last layer that we did to be completely dry, because we're going to go back in with a really dark. If you notice here, we had the very light, a little bit darker yet, but then we're going to go in with a solid color. So we're going to go in and we need to make sure that's very, very dry so that really dark color doesn't bleed up into the other colors. So once again, a little bit of water on my brush, get back into the green. We're going to make sure that this is really dark. You don't want a lot of water on it. Lots of darkness there. And just kind of sketch in a little bit of a, what do you want it to look like? There we go. That's my little hill. And then I'm going to bring in, fill that all in with that darkest green. Not a lot of water on your brush. I really kind of like this green. I didn't know if I'd like it as well as I like the black or not, but I think I do. I think a blue would look really pretty too. So really what you're doing is you're just making sure that your top layer has the most water really, and the lightest color, not as much color, not as much green on your brush, and you're just going down and down and down. You can practice that with like your bookmarks you did. You can practice layering, color the whole thing one color and start layering the different colors on top of it. I think that would look great too. So there we are, we've got that. Now then, as Bob Ross would say, I want some happy little trees in there. So I'm going to get the darkest I can get, and I'm going to put some little trees in here. Just add some little trees. Tapping the brush, it doesn't have to be perfect at all. Tap it away. And where else do I want? I think I want a little tree bent over right here. And maybe some little bushes here. Maybe a couple of little trees right here. I mean, you can add on to that as much as you want. You can put a little house, you can put fences, you can do whatever you want to with it. But just make sure that whatever you put on this layer is the darkest color in your project. So something else you can do, like I said, I don't like this right here because it's just ugly to me, because it was just some darker, I think it was some black that flaked off in there. So let's see what we can do with that. I'm going to use a yellow, I believe. Let me see. Let me use this brush. And I wanted to have a little bit of green with it. So I'm just going to put in there we go. There's a little sun. You could, if you wanted to, go out with that yellowish green a little bit more. There we go. All right. So this is layering our watercolors. Remember, the lightest color, work it down to the darker colors. Make sure you dry in between each layer. You can use a blow dryer, hair dryer, craft dryer, whatever. Practice it, play with it with just scrap paper. Like I started practicing on this, a little scrap layer of paper. If you do not want your paper to be hard to work with and bow up, put a little painter's tape down just along the edges. And when you pull that up, you'll automatically have, like I did with this one, you'll automatically have a little border around it that brings out the picture a little bit better. So next week we're going to be doing, we're going to be putting the mixing colors and the layering colors together on a new project that I think you're really going to like, that you can use in a lot of different ways. And then the last class that in this series will be on textures, using different things to create different textures in watercolor. And let me know what other types of things you'd like. I would like to see some collage. I would like to see maybe some mixed media, more watercolor, playing with more watercolor. We can just see where it goes from there. But I hope you enjoyed this, and please, please, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, send pictures of what you do. This will be on my Facebook page, maybe on my Instagram, I'm not sure. And then, of course, YouTube. But post pictures of what you create. I'd love to see them. See you next week.